going on there, YouTube? So, woke up today. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I decided I need to drive this sand Scorcher. And I've been having some issues because I bought this second hand, so I didn't have some of the original stuff. The chassis has been highly upgraded. So I pieced together some of the things I thought I needed, and it's just not jiving right. So anyway, still gonna try to get this thing out in the yard today. Get some running video, see how this thing works with its internal spring shocks as opposed to the torsion bar setup. Kind of curious how that'll all work out, but anyway, let me show you what I'm working with. All right, so this is the aftermarket aluminum chassis that we've got. Typically, the kits come with this big plastic box, and everything is inside of it, and it's all right in the world for 1983. The main issues I'm having with this, it will fit this aftermarket chassis. It does have provisions for it, but I'm missing all the hardware for it. I bought that as a set. I assumed it came with the bolts and stuff, and of course it requires a bunch of oddball one-off things. There's spring-assisted mounts. There's screws that hold the top to the bottom. There's grommets for the servo arm. There's a grommet for the engine wires to come out of the back. And there's about a 5-inch long servo arm, because the servo is inside there and off to the side. And my modern stick pack doesn't really fit quite right. And it definitely doesn't fit that way, so we're just gonna do without. I wish I hadn't opened it. I could sell it on eBay again. May still try. So the biggest question mark with this is the servo mount. I'm looking at the instructions here, and it shows just two-side taping the servo inside of the box, and I don't like that, but I don't have any other options. There's nowhere. It wants the servo over here with a big crooked link going to this side of the steering arm, which is just completely odd. So I'm thinking I'm going to put it right here. This is a cheap, Drift Spec Trackstar servo. These are nylon gear. I think I got 2 of those for like $15 shipped, or it may have been less than that. I've had them forever. But it's the low profile servo, and with a horn on it, it'll fit directly, or just about the same height as the steering arm on the front shaft here. This weird setup. I don't know what to call it. You can see, let me zoom in a little bit. So that's how our steering works there off of our body mount. So I put a horn off of here, and it should be a nice short pull. That's a high speed servo, not a high torque. I don't know how it's going to work on this. And also, I don't know what motor's in this thing. I'm assuming it's just the Tamiya can motor. It's the stock 540 Mubachi plain Jane motor. Those are pretty quick, and I'm pretty sure this has got a good gear set in it, so it'll hopefully keep the front tires off the ground, and we don't have to worry about steering. We can just ride wheelies in this thing. But yeah, so I'm gonna scrap the instructions here. Let me lay out what I've got. So this aftermarket chassis does have strap holes or slots, so you can strap your battery in the center. That'll be fine. I'm going to tape the servo there. I've got just a standard Tamiya ESC, and I've got a little Savox, or Spectrum, sorry. Little Spectrum 3-channel for my DX3 RS. I don't even know which one I got anymore. Or where it is. Must be in the other room. So that's what I'm looking at. I got to figure out the steering link first. That's kind of the most important. And everything else is just stick it and plug it in and go. I got to get the battery on the charger. And then we got to start looking at how to mount the body. So we got everything in here, and then we'll figure out how we're going to mount the body while the battery's charging. Alright guys, so everything's in. I think my steering looks pretty good. We'll see. The only part that's going to be weak is the tape holding the servo on, but it feels a lot more stout than I thought it would be. Yeah, there's nowhere to really hide the wiring, so I just kind of got it all together. Try to make it as neat as possible. But all that's left is to do a function test, and then we got to figure out how to mount that body. I still didn't get there. So hopefully this is bound. Alright, we got reverse. Alright, we got to set the steering, reverse. Alright. See what the trims are set at. I'm ready. Need it to go right. I don't know if it'll do enough. Still very far right. I would just take the servo horn back off, but it looks pretty good. I won't be able to tell till I get it down the floor. Alright, back to the main menu. Battery is charged, it's ready to go. Now we got to mount the body. So, I don't know how this body mounts. I'm missing more parts. It has this bracket that bolts to the inside of the body, and then there's something that goes around the roll bar. And I looked through all the parts I have, and I don't have the plastic part that goes with it. So, I'm not sure what I'm going to do exactly. That's cool. Piece of scrap. I don't even know if I have the right body pin for the front. So it's a kind of a different deal. Let me see if I have my Tamiya bin here, see if something will fit it. Maybe one of these old school. Nope, that just popped right off. Something smaller. I've got a whole thing of body pins out here somewhere. Do I not have any Tamiya size anymore? Looks about like the smallest one I've got. Oh Lord. I don't know if I'll ever get it off, but probably gonna scratch the body up. So really, instead of going through a hole, it just snaps around this. I'm not even sure if it's supposed to be a body pin on there. Could be something else. Alright. I don't have anything on the back, and it's held down pretty good. Those inner fenders really lock everything into place. So, let's go outside before we run out of daylight. See what this little thing does. So other than getting this thing filthy, this is a blast to drive. This thing is one heck of a basher. I did have to come in once after a couple of those big jumps and retake my servo. The battery did slide forward on impact and pop the servo loose. The steering's not really, it's optional. You drive this car with the throttle. The dirt and the gravel is just a beast. And you can't make it go straight to save your life. Where are my pliers? Pop the body off here. I didn't do any damage to the body. It did roll over a couple of times, but it always rolls back on its bottom. It always ends up back on its tires. So even with that roof rack, the added weight, it didn't really affect it that bad. So all my inner fenders and all my Shapeways stuff is still there, intact, in great shape. My mesh windows held up. Everything looks good. Other than just being extra dusty. This thing looks like it's original now. It's all caked with dust. Yeah, I need to find a more permanent solution for the servo. I'm going to have to fabricate some kind of mounts and actually bolt it properly to the frame. But position, it worked. It had plenty of torque for a cheap nylon gear drift servo. It never got in a bind once, even in hard turns and stuff. It still would flop from side to side as I needed it. Something's wrong with the rear suspension. This side in particular, I feel like that shock has lost every bit of fluid it had. Well, that one may have too. It tended to just ride at full squat all the time. I could hear it bottoming out on rocks periodically. So I may have to do something different with the rear end. I don't want it to set up all stock like. I'm not going to put torsion bars back on it, but I may have to rebuild those shocks again. I don't know what gear ratios and stuff this thing has. It's got an aluminum spur gear, and I'm assuming it's just a Tamiya can motor. It has plenty of get up and go. This 5,000 milliamp stick pack never ran out of juice. I finally started running out of daylight. My Shapeways wheels held up fine. I mean, I beat the crap out of this thing out there, and there's no damage. There are a couple of leaves stuck in them, but other than being dusty, and my rusty finish held up good. Again, this is just simple, cheap stuff, guys. That's the Tamiya ESC that comes with most of their basic car kits. This the TL or EU 104BK. Just a forward and reverse brushed controller. They're in stick pack, about a $12 servo maybe, and had a really good time. So I had to go edit all this footage and try to piece it together because this thing's pretty quick, and it was hard. I ran over the camera more than I rolled the buggy, because it just goes where it goes, man. It seemed like with the throttle it didn't have much mid range. It was all top end. I try to play with the throttle and keep it straight in the dirt, and it really wouldn't go. And then once you full throttle, it broke that barrier and just is wide open, can't keep the back end planted. But a heck of a lot of fun. I got filthy out there trying to move ramps around and stuff and all that. But this is a lot of fun. So anyways, if you haven't seen the other parts of this build, check them out. Shapeways kind of sponsored some of the 3D printed goodies that we put on the body. They sent me these junkyard stance racks for the sides. I got a rear deck lid, inner fenders, just really cool stuff. And there's plenty more. They've got a scale Porsche flat 6 engine you can put back here. Shapeways has a plethora of things for this sand scorcher. So I'll put a link in the video description box. I'll let you check that out. Because Shapeways has been good to me. We've been working together here for a little bit now. We've done some stuff in the scale garage, and be sure to check back because I am going to be doing a giveaway with Shapeways on a rat rod body. So there's more to come on that. I appreciate you guys watching, and please like, subscribe, and share. Follow me along on Instagram. It's RC Everyday. And I'll see y'all in the next video.